Hello, everybody. This is Nikki from Motherhood Unfiltered. It's going to be okay. And today I have Kevin McShan on as a guest. He is a graduate of St. Clair's College Journalism, Print, and New Media program. Kevin has an extensive history of promoting employment equality for individuals with disabilities, most recently as the job developer and enhanced employer support facilitator with the YMCA. Now, that was a mouthful to say. So, he also continues the effort of promoting inclusion for people with disabilities through his motivational speaking efforts. And I am so excited to talk to him today because, against all odds, he's out there making it happen, doing his work, and not letting anything hold him down. But before I bring him on, I just want to remind everybody if you're watching this on YouTube to comment, like, and subscribe. If you've already done that, that means you're awesome. And please share this with someone that you care about. Also, if you're listening on a podcast, please comment and rate it on either iTunes or Spotify. So without further delay, here is Kevin.
Nikki, it's
Hi.
great to be with you this morning, and thanks for the invitation for sure.
You're welcome, and your excitement is definitely contagious. So I'm so glad that we are able to finally get to talk and have you tell your story about having cerebral palsy and but still going to school and work, and then also motivating other people.
Yeah, for sure. I always, Nikki, one of the tenets that I live my life by is that inclusion is the gateway to independence. And, I work every day to sort of bridge the gaps of division to bring us a little closer to the feeling of unity. So I believe that everyone has a platform to share their story, and through the work that I do through employment equality and promoting that, and promoting the work that I do on my own podcast, it's all about having authentic conversations on how to move the needle of progress forward for sure.
Exactly, and I love that. Be I think people, where I've come from, if you have a disability, you tend to be written off in society, and that's not the case. I mean, someone with a disability, that doesn't mean um, that they're broken. They're still a human being, 100%, and they can still go on to do whatever it is that they want to do in their life.
Yeah, yeah, Nikki, I always tell people that there's no 50% off policy when they have a disability. It's not like you can return it to the store, right? If you're not.
Yeah.
So, the way I look at life is that you either make your circumstances work for you, or you can work for your circumstances. And I
Right.
try to build bridges of understanding in that regard, because I believe that intrinsically that we're all given gifts to share with the world. I always tell people that it may not always look graceful the way that I accomplish things, but
Yeah.
as long as it's effective and productive, that's the name of the game, right?
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly right. So, so tell us about your beginnings. I know you have a brother, and then how, what motivates you to to go into this type of work.
When people ask me that question, first I'll take the first part of your question first. Yes, me and my brother Keith were born 3 months premature. We both were born with a cerebral palsy. My brother grew out of his cerebral palsy when he was 4 months old. It still affects things like his handwriting, but other than that, he lives a fairly normal life. For me, having a disability means that I have a different lens of perspective and a different opinion on how the world should work. I always say that people with disabilities have to pay taxes too, so they have to, yeah, they have to be granted full access to all privileges in society, regardless of how severe their disability is. But
Right.
to answer the second part of your question, the turning point in my life, I strongly believe happened when I was 9 years old. I had just come back from Thames Valley Children's Hospital in London, where all of my procedures were done for my disability. And the doctor at the time, my doctor at the time, his name was Dr. Tim Carey, and he had brought myself and my parents into a hospital conference room, and he had told my parents that despite all of the work that I had done from a therapy perspective and from a surgical perspective, from his perspective, I would have to learn to live life not being able to walk. And so I had to go back to school the next day. So in the 2 hours it took to get back from Windsor, I had to internalize that as we were driving back to Windsor. And I went to school the next day, and I had a meeting with my middle school principal, Carol Crewley, at the time, and she had every professional that was in charge of my file in her office, from social workers to teachers to therapists. And I had gone through the story of what the doctor had told me in that hospital conference room. And at the time, I was 9 years old, and I was
Hmm.
internalizing things differently. And it was a cathartic experience to tell that story to a third party. Now, she had already knew that because
Hmm.
it was in my file. But she had looked at me and she said, the only all the limitations that you'll have in life are the artificial ones that you place on yourself. And, from that point forward, I think that was really the trajectory or the turning point on how I developed life uh,
Hmm.
perspective and philosophy for sure.
I just love that one person, one sentence, gave it was such an impact on you that you were not going to let it hold you back, and I love that she was there in that moment, to help you.
Yeah, it's important to have role models and mentors, because I think they're the foundation of impact for
Mhm.
all of us to really discover what we stand for as people, and hopefully a good mentor, who encourages you to sort of pour your own foundation and stand on the values of what and the principles that are most important to you. So, yeah, I think mentorship is vitally important for sure.
Yeah. So so after you got out of school, what did you do next?
In terms of professionally, or is that what you're after here?
Professionally, or did you go on to college, or I mean, well, yeah, it does say you went to college. I just said that earlier.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll tell you about one of my college mentors. Having a disability, and I don't drive, so um, I rely on public transportation. And I'll tell you a story about, sometimes college classes don't go the full 2 or 3 hours that they're scheduled for.
Right.
And I didn't have a car, and sometimes the bus company that I used couldn't get pick me up earlier than the slated time that they always pick me up. So one
Right.
of my college mentors, his name's Ryan Peebles. At the time, Ryan served as the director of the student sort of representative council at the college I went to, and
Uh-huh.
at the time, all of my classes for journalism were in the basement of this convention center that the college had bought and turned into college classrooms. And Ryan's office was in the basement of
Uh-huh.
that convention center. And Ryan would always, whether I was going through something in school personally or just needed someone to talk to,
Mhm.
Ryan made sure that he always kept the lights on in his office when it was in to let me know if I needed something to always stop by his office. And I graduated college over a dozen years ago now. I'm aging
Yeah.
myself, but uh, Ryan is someone that I still turn to for wisdom, advice, and counsel. And I always tell Ryan, I viewed him as my college version of Motel 6 because he always kept the lights on for me. So I
Yeah.
really credit Ryan for being a major part of how I got through college, and I wouldn't be the person that I am today without his influence. So Ryan is a great friend and a mentor, and again, I think mentorships are important.
Right. And so just having someone there that you can go to and talk to if you need them, and him leaving the light on in his office for you, just let you know that, hey, if I'm having a bad day, I can go talk to Ryan. But, and that doesn't mean that you were in there all the time, but it was just a reassurance.
Yeah, I think reassurances are important.
Hmm.
At the bottom of my bio it says that my personal satisfaction doesn't come from personal achievement. It comes from putting smiles on the faces of the people that I impact. And I think if you live, at least in my experience, if you live life just for yourself, you'll live a very vain existence. But
Yeah.
if you live life for other people, I always say that the rewards that you get personally will multiply because then you're really having a chance to impact the rest of the world, right? So it's
Yeah.
important to really find how you want to move the needle of progress forward and impact the lives of other people as well, for sure.
Well, that's just wonderful, Kevin. I mean, so is that also, I mean, do you get that influence from your family? I mean, are they people that um, have taught that to you, or is that just something, you've had to learn to do over time?
Our family motto is no room for excuses. Because at an early age, my parents have always taught me to uh, go beyond my disability and
Yeah.
find ways to excel despite the circumstances. We're all given a deck of cards in life, and my
Yeah.
our family philosophy is how are you going to play your deck? Because a life you're given a chance to be at a crossroads, and you have to determine how which direction you're going to go. And for
Yeah.
our family, our motto is no excuses because it's my belief and our family's belief that excuses are deterrents to progress. So my parents have always been encouraging me to pursue my dreams no matter the limitations from a physical, mental, or psychological perspective because they've always said that I have a unique gift of talking. So that's why I went into journalism, right? Because I couldn't shut up. So they said, you might as well get paid for it, right? So there you go.
Right. Well, that's just so ingenious. I love that. So, how is your relationship with your brother?
Keith and I shared a room together until we were 28 years old. And then, my brother has always been someone who has encouraged me to always seek whatever my passion is.
Hmm.
I always tell people, if you discover your passions and your purpose, you never work a day in your life, right? So my
Yes.
brother has always encouraged me to look beyond the limits of what I believe is possible and extend myself to
Hmm.
go outside of my comfort zone to really
Hmm.
grow and develop for sure.
Well, that's so encouraging. I just love that, you could tell you're a close-knit family and that they really push you, to be better than what you really are. And and in doing that, you become, that better person. So what so when you have like a down day, or you're just like, this is just a crappy mood. What does Kevin do to, take care of that or uplift himself?
I start every morning by listening to the song "High Hopes" by Panic of the Disco, because no, I
I
think
love that.
I think it's important to put yourself in a frame of mind of positivity every time you wake up. Life is so infinitely short that
Yeah.
we have to set ourselves up for victory. But to
Mhm.
answer your question, having a disability sometimes, I go through bouts of social isolation. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to start a podcast, because
Mhm.
it's a chance for me to build a community of support and as uh, further the understanding of different people of having a disability and the obstacles you overcome. So to answer your question, I podcast when I feel discouraged or
Yeah.
neglected, because it's a way to build a sense of community and support.
Well, I can definitely understand that because the other day I was feeling like, a big piece of turd on the floor, and I did a podcast, and it was just so inspiring, and it just made me realize that, my life isn't as crappy as I think it is. It's a lot better than, what I thought at the moment it was. So I can definitely relate to podcasting and, getting your voice heard and then listening to other people and being encouraged by them. So I just love that.
Podcasting is like changing underwear. Everybody has to do it, right? No, because everyone has an opinion. So you
I
might as
know, but your acronym or your what do you call it, metaphors
yeah,
or
metaphors. Yeah,
yeah.
it's like changing underwear. You put one foot in the other, and everybody has an opinion, and
Yeah.
you share opinions. At least in my experience, you share opinions to grow. And podcasting is a
Mhm.
great way of doing that, because
Mhm.
you have a chance to talk to people that you agree with, talk to
Mhm.
people that you have disagreements with, and you talk to people
Mhm.
that always have differing viewpoints that
Mhm.
allow you to grow personally. So I think podcasting is a great vehicle for growth for sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, especially I love the way our technology is today. I'm here in the US, you're in Canada, and and in the past I would never have gotten the chance to ever have met with you or
Ah,
talked with you, if it wasn't for technology. So, and I just love the podcasting platform. So we're able to share, and talk about different things and be inspired by people that I probably would never even knew existed.
yeah, technology is a great gift, especially when it works correctly, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wasn't going to go there.
Yeah, but it is a great gift in terms of the connectivity of people and really providing them a space to share opinions and create community for sure.
Right. So I'm interested to hear about the is it We Are Able project that you were involved in?
Yeah, so the We Are Able project was something that I helped run. Oh gosh, we ran that program back in 2016. But
Uh-huh.
the idea behind it was to bring um, business people together and
Mhm.
promote the positive benefits of hiring people with disabilities. We ran that program for about 13 months. We gave a total of 30 presentations, and we
Mhm.
were we were able to get 28 people job placements through the program in the 13 months we ran the
Mhm.
presentations. I was also the regional ambassador for something in Windsor, uh, Essex County, for something called the Discoverability Network on behalf of the Ontario Chamber of Commerce, which
Mhm.
is the province's new online job matching portal for individuals with disabilities
Mhm.
to get connected. So when I worked on the project, I called it the e-harmony of employment. The only difference was that it wasn't obviously for dating. It was for employment. So
Yeah.
you would go on the website, you create a profile, and if you're a job seeker with a disability, you were matched with someone with an employer who was
Yeah.
looking to hire someone with a disability. And obviously, if you were an employer, it worked the opposite way. Was really proud of the work we did there during the 11 months I held the role. I was able to help 70 people in my area uh, to either get a job placement or an internship. So
Uh-huh.
it was a successful endeavor for sure.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, yeah, why didn't we think of eHarmony for business, or to find a job for people or to match them up with employees and employers?
Uh, use tech, use technology to make a difference, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I definitely love that. So, um, let me make sure I've covered everything. So, in your experience with journalism, what is your favorite thing? And like, what do you like to read, or what do you like to write about?
I originally went to school to become a sports reporter because, our family is big into football and basketball and baseball and all of the major sports. So I was always the first to sign up for any sports assignment in school. And, the coordinating professor of my journalism program, her name's Veronique Mandel, and she always told me, you can cover other things than sports. There are other parts of the news cycle other than sports, right? So that's one of the reasons I started the podcast that I'm doing now called
Hmm.
"Let's Have This Conversation" because I wanted to cover more than sports. But to answer your question, the reason I got into journalism in the first place is to cover sports because I couldn't play them. So
Hmm. Yeah, so I mean, obviously she must not be a sports fan if she's telling you not to there's more to life than just sports, right?
Well, by the time I graduated, I turned her into a marginal sports fan, so I was happy with that accomplishment, right? So
Yeah. So I know when we did our prep for the interview, I talked to or I asked about your brother and you doing pranks. So tell me again the prank that you and your brother did on your mom.
yeah, so before I tell you that story, I will also tell you that Keith and I are identical twins, and we're actually a minute apart. So
Yeah.
Keith and I are very close. In fact, I just talked to him this morning. He accepted a role as an assistant professor at Missouri State University. So he's out in the States making a difference now. But to answer your question,
Yeah.
so when Keith and I were little, my parents had a spice rack in the kitchen. So as a prank, we would take all of the spices off the spice rack and dump them into a cup of milk and dare each other to drink it after all the spices were in the milk. So that's the story. So
Well, I know, but who won the prank? I mean,
well, I use my disability to my advantage in that instance because my parents tended to believe me more than they did my brother because my brother's nickname when we were younger was the instigator because he always liked to instigate stuff. So I used my advantages to my advantage when it came to that. So,
so I mean, I'm sure your parents know better now, right?
well, yes, they got rid of the spice rack. We don't have that anymore. So.
Well, and that they know that your brother wasn't always the instigator.
Well, no, but if they bought it, he was always the instigator, right? So,
Yeah. Well, Kevin, before we end our conversation today, so one last question is how can someone foster a culture, of inclusion and diversity? I mean, those are complete kind of opposites, but how can someone marry those together?
I think the easiest answer to that question is by listening and then
Mhm.
taking action. Go to the people that live it every day and
Mhm.
really open or extend an olive branch of listening. And then once you listen, it's important to implement what they have said to you and really develop a community where um, opinions of diverse perspectives are valued and really it starts with incorporating people like me into
Mhm.
everyday society, whether it's uh, employment equality, societal equality, societal equality. I talked earlier about social isolation and
Mhm.
really providing recreational opportunities for these people to really discover what their passions are. Because once you do that, once you give them a vehicle to display their passions, then they can become contributing members of society, and then everybody wins, right? So I think it starts by
Mhm.
listening, implementing, and then really reacting and being proactive in creating a community and a culture of inclusion for sure.
Well, I really love that, and I'm so glad that I got to talk with you today. So, if anybody needs to reach out to you, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, everything you need to know about me, good, bad, or indifferent, is at kevinmcshan.com. You can also follow the podcast at Let's Have This Conversation. And you just type that in and type my name afterwards, and all my stuff comes up. So you can find all my information on my website or on my podcasting YouTube channel.
Well, I love that. I will definitely put that in our show notes when we upload our conversation. And I hope that I get to talk with you in the future to see how things are going with you, and um, and just keep up to date.
Yeah, I always, the banner on my Facebook page says that my arc of progress is always ascending, and I think that starts with establishing relationships and having
Mhm.
authentic conversations like this one. So, Nikki, I want to thank you for having me, and I look forward to us staying connected for sure. Keep up the great work of dispensing great information, and it was a real honor and pleasure to be with you this morning.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you, Kevin.
Thanks for the invitation, for sure.